Good afternoon, I am Pete, also known as Risk for Rewards on Twitter. Currently got around 7,500 people following me now, so welcome all the new followers. Hopefully we can win a few quid. I've only got about 250 subscribers on YouTube. I am going to be putting more videos out than written content over the flat season, so they will be out first. So if you want to subscribe so you get it first, then it's up to you. It's not like I'm going to change the markets. Right, just a quick review of Saturday and Friday, obviously the Oaks. Start with the Oaks. Well, there we have it, Tuesday. Brilliant for all of us or everyone who backs. I mean, I backed it at 8-1 and put it up at 8-1, but you could have got like 12-1 the lead up to the week. A lot of people had watched it drift all the way out. It was like 9-1 in the morning, went off 13-2, but she got the job done well. So much debate, obviously, between Tuesday and Emily Upjohn. Emily Upjohn being the moral winner, apparently. I'll take the pinch of luck in the fact that obviously she got up by a short head, brilliant ride by Ryan. But if you go back and look at the race, that both of them were unlucky. They both fell out the stalls. They were both in very good. Well, obviously Tuesday was in the dreaded stall 1, but both fell out their stalls. Emily Upjohn worse so, and both had to go straight to Plan B. I think the saving grace for both of them is they went a crawl in the race and then they sprinted the finish. So it allowed both of them to reposition. Emily Upjohn in particular, because she lost plenty of ground at the start, eye-catchingly so. But it was made of, how's Frankie gained all that ground? But when you look back at the sectionals afterwards, because they went so slow, it wouldn't have actually been too hard because he made the ground back up quicker than Frankie expected, but he also made it back up at a time when they were still going slow. If he tried making that ground up in the straight when they were sprinting, he would have had no chance. And then you look coming down the hill and it was like, how far is Emily Upjohn going to win by? Ryan set out and just looked across, saw it, and he kicked for home and pushed as hard as he could on Tuesday. He got a lead and Frankie still looked fairly confident, and it was almost like he was trying to hold on rather than push. And then when push come to shove, but she did get ahead and she was pushing, and then Tuesday just found more. So I'm not reading into this whole that Emily Upjohn would be a certainty next time if they met. I mean, I think a lot would depend on whether it's 10 furlongs or 12, and also what the track was like. I think Emily Upjohn's got a lot of scope, but is also a massive horse, so they could catch up with her a lot quicker. Like, she doesn't have a lot of room to grow because she's already a huge horse. But I think something like the Arc would probably suit her if she does stay. If she turns out she does stay that 12. Well, in the soft ground, I think that was another big thing that I was impressed with, is the fact that because it was only good to soft, that was in Tuesday's favour. I think if Emily Upjohn had a bit of cut, slows everything down, and I think she looks a nice stayer. Both good horses. You don't need to pigeonhole them into a trip or whatever. I don't think they'll probably end up meeting again, but both ones to keep on side. Good result for us on the day. Sorry. In third, Nashua. Very, very good horse. I think this was another step up the level on the tree. Just didn't stay for me. 10 furlongs to be her trip. Maybe, I think it's the Nassau at Goodwood. Something like that. She'll step back and trip to 10 furlongs. And if she goes for that Ascot kick again, where she comes around the side, boom, kicks home. And I thought that. I even commented, obviously, in my thing beforehand. I said, I'm not sure if she will stay, because the way she hit the front, and then we didn't know whether she idled or she was not staying the trip when she did 10 furlongs last time. I think 10 will be bang on for her. Concert Hall will just be one of those that just plugs on. She obviously into fourth. Aidan O'Brien and Gosden, race between them again, as we predicted beforehand. She just was beaten by better horse on the day. She'll carry on. I'm sure she'll plod on. She'll probably take in the Arc and other races, but she may bump into a few too good for her, but she'll probably be a big price, and she'll be in the places. So yeah, it's hard not to obviously be impressed by both the winner and the second, and the third step down to 10 furlongs. She'll be taking big races too. So I think it's a fairly good Oaks. I do think, however, as everyone who watched the previews will know already, I do think the Derby was the better race, but that's just one horse was the better horse. Made no secret about Desert Crown, the love for him beforehand. I've had a few DMs from people just saying like thanks, or saying appreciate the videos, because I don't put points on any of my stakes, so I understand that it's hard for a person to read six names on a list, and even if I've put a bit of context with it, and they don't know how much, what should I stake, how confident is he in this, whereas speaking to people, it sounds like I made it perfectly clear that Desert Crown was the be all and end all if you had one bet on that day. And obviously I did put it as a nap. And normally if a horse drifts, like say it was the Champion Hurdle, I'd be slightly worried watching a drift. But because you know so little about these horses, it wasn't really a drift. It's the way the anti-post marks are reacting. So horses are getting backed all the way in straight away. So like Desert Crown for the Dante, put in at 6-4, drifted out to 4-1. Exact same here, put in at 6-4, drifted out to 5-2. It's not a drift, it's just it's going back to a realistic price. It's so the bookmakers can protect themselves. So if they had 2 or 3 horses drop out, they're then already sat at a short enough price, whereas they can then put it at a realistic price on the day. So Desert Crown, even at 5-2, it was making me want to put more on, obviously safe gambling. Second place, Huya Mao. Racing Lee, one of the lads. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you should find his name. Just go on my link on my bio, at Racing Lee. He was fairly confident on Huya Mao being there or thereabouts, considering it was a 17 runner derby and this is one of the outsiders of the field. Like, that's a brilliant shout. That's 40 or 50 to 1 place. Westover, just like the people who didn't back Desert Crown, like they need to let this Westover thing go. Like, the reason it didn't fit through the gap was because it wasn't fast enough to get through the gap. If you put Desert Crown in that gap, Desert Crown would have skipped through that gap, cigar in his mouth, and on the way down the hill. Like, Westover, no doubt, is probably going to be a good horse, but it was not like I can't get my head round the. Like, it could have come second, may not have come second. It was not fast enough to get through that gap, and they made their moves at very similar times. So you may well have beaten Huya Mao, but you still finish ahead behind him. But at the end of the day, that's what happens in the derby. I think if you put Desert Crown anywhere in that race, you wouldn't have liked to see it, but he's getting out of those pockets and he's winning the race. And so you could argue he should have finished second, but to say winning, that's not for me. There's been a lot of chat about straight into the Irish Derby, load up, get all this, take the fours, that's not for me. I don't like backing unlucky losers. Why? Because I've done it so many times in the past, in my earlier years. I looked at it and thought, that's a certainty next time out. Like, I could tell you now, there's horses finishing in 5th, so Changing of the Guard, Stone Age, all these O'Brien horses, some of those won't have run their best race today. They might have ran, say, 80%, 90%. And then say you bump into them on the Irish Derby, different track, 3 or 4 O'Brien horses, you get pinned in, stuff like that. Do you want to take 2-1 on one of those? Stone Age, prime example, finishing 6th. Travelled well, went well. I always thought it was a very Bolshoi ballet horse. I was on Bolshoi ballet last year. And I thought it was the same sort of thing, like where you were seeing him win the trials very easily and then you got turned over at the Derby, and that's exactly what happened. But I also think Stone Age didn't say the trip. I think step back to 10 furlongs. They talked about going to the French Derby. I think if you're stepping back to 10 furlongs, that'll be the one for him. Quickly, what else have we got? So Art Price, hopefully if you took the Art Price, so 20-1 for the Desert Crown, now 3-1. People say, I'm not backing him for 3-1 for the Art. Well, you don't have to worry about that now. I'm not myself going to back him at 3-1 for the Arc either. If he runs in the Arc, perfect. We've got 20-1 paid for by the bet that we won on Saturday. If he doesn't, then it's no big deal. There's plenty of good horses in it, and we'll wait and see how the season develops. If he keeps winning the way and it looks the style that we've seen so far, I can't see how they're not going to run him in the Arc unless they find some reason that he really won't handle the heavy ground. But he looked a very, very good horse on Saturday. He ripped that field to bits. Brilliant for Kingscote, and I think soon enough he will become Stoute's number 1. He's been on Racing UK, and he's saying that his rides, he is number 2 to Ryan Moore, whatever Ryan's riding and stuff. But you can see how strong their relationship is between him and Stoute, and you can see why, because I was watching the review and he was saying how him and Michael Stoute are both men of very few words. So when both of those two collide together, it neither say much, and he only asks what he needs to ask. And reading between the lines, you could picture that being exactly the same way with Ryan Moore, and that'll be why Michael Stoute likes Ryan Moore so much. A man who says very little unless it's needed. I bet he gives very good feedback post-race, but generally, apart from that, keeps himself out of the limelight, himself to himself, and just rides brilliant races. And Kingscote was the best. Like, yes, his ride on Saturday, it was a brilliant ride. He did everything perfect, and you look at him in the finish, and he's still ice cool. Like, I'm not being funny, 9 out of 10 Derby winners, they are like, look at flipping Mikel Barcelona on Pour Moi. Like, they are jumping up and down, they're diving, they're smiling, they're happy, they're doing everything. And he literally is just like, yeah, that's brilliant. Like, how do you feel with your Derby win? He's like, yeah, it was good. Yeah, I went to bed at 9 o'clock. Yeah. Like, he's not boring. He is just, that's just him. He's just very composed. He just has such a level head. Just one more thing, Royal Ascot Tuesday. So I'll try and get things on videos or pictures and text or whatever I can, but I will be working part of it, so I won't be. And I am tempted, I may end up going Tuesday just because I'm finding it really hard to get away from going to see Baid, Courier Bus, and all of the 2-year-olds like Little Big Bear, Persian Force, Blue Trail or whatever it is, and also the sprints of Golden Power and all of the gang. Just one thing I do want to emphasise is obviously Wesley Ward's coming over with his crap talk of back all of my horses, they'll win and all this sort of thing. He does it every year. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They're always over bet. So just tread carefully with it. And also this whole Irad Ortiz angle, people are getting excited because he knows the horses and he's coming across. And yeah, he might well do well at Ascot. He's never rode at the track. Those rides would normally be Frankie Dettori's rides. And just a quick stat on Frankie Dettori. So Frankie, in the last 4 years, has got a 26% strike rate in graded races. And for those who don't know what graded races are, that's the group races. So like level grade 3, 2, 1, listed, group 1s. So basically all the good races that are not handicaps. And that's in the last 4 years. He's had 20 winners in those races, 10 of which have been group 1s. And in the 10 group 1s, that gives him around a 35% strike rate. So you can say what you like to me, like people getting very excited about this, but there is no man better than Frankie Dettori. So any other jockey is a negative. So that on top of this, for me, I'll probably be bypassing this mainly just because they'll be short. So, but I haven't looked at too hard, and that is what I will be doing this afternoon, trying to nail down a few stats and look through the Ascot, ready for next week's, hopefully, collections. So good luck. If you haven't any bets, there'll be no bets for me this week. It's all about waiting for Tuesday. And let's hopefully we go again. Cheers.